Not by that clock.
That clock's fast.
Welcome to the January 27, 2015 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Mr. Delaney?
Pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which has been filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board here in the Municipal Building, posted on the Township website, and provided to those, also included as well, everybody that needed it. I'm working on way too little sleep.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for the individuals serving our nation. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan? Here. Mr. Vanderhoek?
Here.
Mayor Winterfield?
Here. There are no presentations scheduled for this evening. Reports from volunteers? Volunteer?
Volunteer, one report.
We'll report. Franks, Missouri, 35 West Franklin Avenue, Solid Waste Committee. Just wanted to bring you up to date that we've been working diligently trying to save you some money. We've come up with some results. We are entertaining one more contractor. We want to get some input from him. We already had one. Mr. Gator was here. Probably have something for you by the second meeting in February. Something concrete. Now, whether it's going to save money or not, we'll see.
Do you have a cold, Frank?
No.
Sounds like you have a cold.
No.
Maybe it's my ears.
Are there going to be any
Too
changes
close
to
to
the
the mic.
services, Frank?
Pardon me?
Any changes to the way the services are?
Well, we have a couple of ideas that we want to put in for bids. And I'll expound on that after
When you're ready.
at the next
Okay.
presentation. Okay? Just wanted to bring you up to date that we are doing something.
All right.
And as far as open space is concerned, nothing going on right at the moment. But we'll have another meeting coming up soon.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comments. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period of public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record. Okay, there being no public comment, we will continue with the agenda. Public hearings. There are no public hearings. Okay, ordinance for introduction. There are no ordinance for introduction this evening. The next agenda item is resolutions. Mr. Delaney?
Yes, and I'm referring to the revised agenda, which was issued with a couple of changes to individual resolutions. First, Resolution R 2015-38, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. Resolution 39, authorizing payment in the amount of $1,012.80 to Veronica Rizzo for accumulated leave. Resolution 40, authorizing the alcoholic beverage control social affair permit for Holy Spirit School. Resolution 41, authorizing an interlocal agreement between the Township of Pequannock and the Borough of Kinnelon for QPA services. Resolution 42, authorizing an interlocal agreement between the Township and the Borough of Bloomingdale for QPA services. Resolution 43, authorizing purchase from designated vendors awarded contracts by the Morris County Cooperative Purchasing Council. Resolution 44, awarding a contract for the demolition of 12 residential structures to the Yanuzzi Group of Hillsborough for the contract amount of $94,420 in accordance with the bid specifications. Resolution 45, awarding a contract for the emergency water main and sanitary sewer repairs to J. Fletcher Kramer of Hackensack for the contract amount of $425 per hour in accordance with the bid specifications. Resolution 46, awarding a contract for emergency tree service to J. Ringen Tree Experts, Inc. of Pompton Plains for the contract amount of $460 per hour in accordance with the bid specifications. Resolution 47, approving the assessment and ratifying the prior agreement to join the Morris County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund. And Resolution 48, appointing Polaris Galaxy as the township's risk management consultant for the year 2015. And final Resolution 49, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the bill list, which was revised and actually carries, I believe it's the date of the 23rd.
Thank you. Are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
Mayor Winterfeld, I have no comment.
Jay?
No comment.
Dave?
No comment.
Melissa? Nothing? Okay. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2015-38 through 2015-49.
I'll second.
Oh,
Fine. Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mr. Phelan?
Yes.
Mr. Vanderhoff?
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield?
Yes. Okay, items for discussion. Next on the agenda are items for discussion. I guess, Bob?
Sure. Over the past couple meetings, we've had some discussion about our ordinance on solicitation and canvassing. History of this is we sort of eliminated any kind of regulation on soliciting and canvassing. All we were regulating was itinerant vendors, which would mean people who were actually selling wares. The consensus was that we should really go back to some regulation at least. Particularly, there was concern about regulating the time where people are going door to door. If you're right, and also setting up a do not call, now it's going to be a do not solicit list. I did this under the existing itinerant vendor ordinance because I think we would apply it to the itinerant vendors. We certainly want to apply it to people seeking profit. We're going to add to this then some regulations on canvassing and soliciting. I know Dave passed this out to department heads because it does involve some administration in a few departments. We have some comments back from Jay, which we'll deal with. I don't know whether there's any other comments, Dave.
Brian did get back to me, he said he had no specific comments on the content. There were some grammatical
Yes.
spelling things that he
Yep.
revised. Peter got back to me, and they're along the same lines as Jay's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the process who issues license and who enforces the do not disturb list. So we can, you know, tie a couple of those things down. I think we're good with staff. Among that, I also asked, and once we have the ordinance in the final form, we'll develop a process and a form to go along with this, but it didn't really make sense to start working on that until we have kind of all the i's dotted.
So if I'm on the do not solicit list,
Right,
no one can come to my house.
correct.
But a
Political,
political person can come to your house and not come.
I don't know if I read.
Well,
I think that's a change.
Well, that-
That's in here, but that's in here.
Political.
It's
We
all
would have
changed.
to, yeah, we would have to, if you want to change that, we can change that. But as of right now, I think it would apply to everybody.
You cannot.
Well, there's-
stop. That's-
I know.
It would be against the law, I'm sure.
Well, we can't stop people from going, but the do not solicit list is different than saying you're not allowed to do that. Remember, you can certainly go out and go anywhere you want to go. The only thing is you cannot go to somebody's door who has put out a list and saying, I don't want anybody to go to the door.
But it actually even says here that you have to register even if you're doing political campaigning.
You have to yeah, it's just a registration though. Now, we can exempt political campaigns, but here comes the problem.
Right.
Right.
First of all, what's political? Because I can tell you right now, the New Jersey clean water people are gonna say they're political in the same way you're political, and if you exempt,
I just don't want a
Candidates.
window manufacturer banging on my door or whatever.
well, if we don't want, okay, so we could limit it.
To
We
commercial?
could limit it just to, that's.
Commercial.
I like the
commercial
idea of
vendors.
that too, because I went back after I read this, and I read Lincoln Parks again, because that's the one that I had found. And theirs just seemed even friendlier, the language. It almost said the same thing, but it was just a different tone.
Right.
Ours seems really,
Right, we got a hammer, we're gonna.
right, it's really draconian, it really is.
Strict.
We could
Yeah.
limit it only to itinerant vendors, and those are people selling goods and wares, and that would exempt then any of the nonprofit people.
Yeah, if you're selling Girl Scout cookies or whatever.
You
you
just
did it.
would then have to be sure people signing up for the do not solicit list,
Understand
who
that.
think that that's gonna mean they're not gonna have
Right,
the Jehovah's Witnesses coming to their door.
So
Right.
it just
Understand
has
that,
to
yes,
be
they will.
A commercial establishment cannot come to your house and try to sell something.
yeah, because those are the ones that are very pushy and that are almost scary,
Mhm.
you know? I actually watched one of those crazy infomercials about going door-to-door solicitation,
Mhm.
and the guy said, absolutely, the ones who have the do not solicit are the best ones to go to, because they're easy prey, because they're really weak and they don't want you to come. They're the ones you really want, and they're teaching
Really?
them to knock
Yeah.
on where the stickers are.
So that's where the hammer comes in.
Yeah.
What's the hammer?
They're at least able to call and have a recourse,
What's the recourse?
you know?
What's the
Well,
recourse?
they can call the police, and then they'll come, tell them
They
right?
have
Any
violated
violation.
the ordinance, and they'll be subject to a penalty for violating the ordinance.
Well,
If we do.
normally the police will ask them to leave the town, is normally what would happen, I would assume.
But I guess
Well,
if they continue to do
That
that.
becomes part of the question. Who is responsible for enforcement? Is this
Would be the police. Who
uh,
am I gonna call? I'm gonna call the police. What am I gonna call?
Yeah, who else you gonna call?
Who else am I gonna call?
well,
The dog catcher?
the one thing we had discussed was putting the onus on the homeowner to sign the complaint.
Oh, okay,
The-
that's fine.
You know, the person who has been aggrieved is not the police officer.
Right.
And
No, but he's the one who
But-
comes if
but
there's a
normally
problem,
what
right?
they
He
do,
takes the
they-
complaint,
Is
right?
they tell them to
If
leave.
they're committing a violation.
Well, if you're on
a
my
criminal act.
property, if you're on my door, and you shouldn't be, right?
I
So
understand what
I'm-
Dave is
what I'm-
saying.
It needs to be clearly defined what the process is and who the enforcement agent is.
Mhm.
You know, in a lot of municipal matters that we regulate, the police are not, you know, if your fence is too high, you don't call the police.
Right, yeah, right.
I don't know, some people do.
You know,
Yeah.
some people-
Mhm.
You know, there's zoning violations, there's animal control violations, you know, there's enforcement activity occurring in a lot of different areas. So who's the appropriate person to do that? And should it be placed on a township agency, or should it be on the homeowner?
I
If you're
think-
giving the homeowner the option of saying,
What's gonna
I don't
happen?
want you to come here, then should it be up to them to go sign the
Yes.
Maybe
the
somebody's clock.
summons
Yes,
against the
yes.
perpetrator? So
Well.
you can set that up however you want, and
Mhm.
just understand what your options are.
Right.
I think that that's the best way, because, look, if you knock on my door and I call the police, and when the police come, I can say, I want to sign a summons against them.
Correct, correct. And that's, you know, frequently when a private person observes, like a traffic violation, and they call the police and say, so-and-so is speeding up and down my street.
Right, they don't wanna sign a
The
complaint.
police have not observed the criminal act, so
Right.
they're not the ones who are gonna sign the complaint. And they'll frequently ask, you know, is the caller willing to sign a complaint?
And the normal answer is
No. Because then what happens is, I mean, it generates a report in the police system, so we have a record of what occurred, but there is no enforcement, because no one has been,
Well, if they file a complaint, is their name revealed to the other party?
It has to be.
Because that's what they're always worried about. Is it
Yes.
it's public record, I guess, yeah.
and that's where the police can come in with the informational report. You know, the police have the authority to ask someone for
Then-
identification.
Right, then you're going to court. You all understand that too, right? If you sign a complaint, you're going to court.
Oh, yeah.
And again, I think it should be on the homeowner. If it bothers you that much, then sign a complaint.
But then we need to have that clear as we roll this
Right.
out,
Mhm.
so it's not confusing. And
Right,
like you
but-
said about,
But what's everybody else's opinion? I mean,
yeah.
I think the homeowner should sign the complaint, period.
I agree with that. I think the homeowner, who else would do it? Like you said, it can't be the police, and who else, what's the other option?
Well, the police can sign it, but the homeowner would have to be a witness, because they didn't see it.
Right. But what if they do see it? What if they are there and the police do come? Yeah, what if they get into, I guess that's a whole nother
Well,
thing.
again, I think you need to put the
Onus on the
on the homeowner. Look, if it bothers you that much, sign a complaint.
Yeah.
We have the ordinance in place. The ordinance says that you can file a complaint against.
Right. Without the ordinance, they can't complain.
Right, without
They
the
can't
ordinance, they
complain.
can't complain. Now you have an ordinance that says that, look, they don't have a permit, therefore, or you're on the no-call list, you have the right to file a
Mhm.
summons or
Yeah.
summons.
Well, I do think we should change it to commercial, and not like in every
Yes.
little
Yeah, I did think
Okay,
this
so
was a
So
little
Boy Scout, I'm
strict.
starting to complain against
Boy
you.
Scouts, Girl Scouts,
I mean, you
these
can break
surveys,
the
and
law,
I,
even if you were loose on it, you're still making them
No,
break the law.
it's about commercial.
Okay, so we're
Businesses.
only going to apply the do not call list to the itinerant vendors, or the
Correct.
commercial vendors by definition. Now,
Correct.
do you want to go back to doing anything with canvassers or solicitors? Right now, we have no regulation on it. I think this also, do you want time regulations to apply to
yeah,
those?
because
I think we
before it
do.
was
I
10
think we
o'clock at
should.
night, right?
No, it was, the only thing we
No.
were regulating were itinerant vendors.
No, I think we
actually
should put
didn't
canvas
regulate
in
at
there.
all.
We should
Yeah,
put
hours.
time. We should tie it all in together. I
Yeah,
think.
you should not be able to canvass after 9 o'clock at night. or
Okay.
whatever.
So, and the only way to really enforce it is if you don't register, then how do you tell people that? I mean, that's where registration comes in.
But we
If
get
you're gonna
back to
have
this political thing, that if I'm running for,
Mhm.
whatever,
Well, what did
I
you
don't-
say?
I
It's 30
can't
days.
fill out a piece of paper with the town and say, look, I'm running for freeholder and,
Well, I guess you can. I think
could.
it's 30 days, I
But
think
what
it
about,
said.
like,
It's
Girl
good for
Scouts
30
selling
days, and you
cookies
have to
or
say, I'm
something?
going to this
then the Girl
neighborhood.
Scouts have to do it, the Boy Scouts have to do it, everybody has to do it. It's a
Actually,
little
always
overkill.
did.
Well, I don't
It
think
was just
Girl Scouts
always
allowed to
ignored.
solicit anymore anyway. I
They
don't
didn't
think
really do it.
Most of those
Yeah,
organizations.
they're not allowed to
don't allow-
solicit anymore because it's dangerous.
Yeah, they don't really go door to door anymore.
Yeah, they're not allowed to. And they,
Right, so when they're looking for the food donations and they come up to the door and hang
No, they
it,
tell you to put it outside and they don't knock on it.
somebody, well,
They're not supposed to knock on the door, it's supposed to be out.
they hang something on the
Every
door.
once in a while they have clean water.
Yeah, but they,
Yeah.
they don't interact.
They don't
They don't
interact,
interact.
that's the key here.
they leave it there when you're not there, and you leave it out when
And
they come.
They run away.
They run away quickly.
Well, maybe we should all, read
Read
it.
it and-
You have our suggestions, but
Right.
we should have a, if you float it to us before, the council meeting, again, we'll read it again.
Yeah, we'll put in the.
Well, yeah, I mean, we didn't intend to actually
No, it's gonna have to
introduce
respond.
No, the
Yeah,
idea
yeah,
was
no,
to
no.
put everything in here you can do, and then let you pull out what you think we don't need to do.
No, this was a good job. I mean, it was really like, it was tight, like nobody's around walking streets. I mean, I read it, I was like, oh my God, I don't know if that's what we meant.
We will be known as an unfriendly town.
Yeah.
I do think
It's like we're in
the,
a state of emergency all the time.
I do think by not applying the do not call list to canvassers and solicitors, that's gonna have to become very clear to people who
Yes.
sign up for the list.
Yes,
Because you're gonna have people very angry when
You,
people
you
come to
don't
the
want to
door
create false
saying.
expectations
Right,
for
yes.
people.
but
sign up.
when you advertise it or when somebody signs up for this, they should be told at that time it's just commercial
Right.
businesses.
And,
This does
Well,
not
it should
stop
be right on
political
there,
right on there.
organizations.
and at the same time, we'll have the explanation about enforcement of it.
Right.
If someone comes, you will be, and you want to, you will be expected to sign a complaint, so people know what they're getting into.
Right.
If they choose to make a call.
Right, it's not that simple, right? It's not like, hey,
Right, you have to be part of this.
you have to be part of the solution.
Mhm.
Have we ever really had that many commercial vendors? I mean, I know this was brought up because we saw
windows.
some stuff on Facebook or whatever.
Well, there was
but
it,
I've
they
never
came to my
seen
door,
any.
Listen,
oh,
since
yeah.
I've lived
Oh, you've
at
had
my
one?
new address, I've had 3 of them at my house already.
Okay.
I think it's economic times that people
Yeah, a
are
lot of
coming
times
more.
they come by for paving or
Um,
doors and windows and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
I understand they've been fairly successful, so we may see more of it.
Yeah, if it
Fairly
works.
successful at selling,
Yeah.
Mm.
they haven't sold me yet.
No, me either, but I've heard
Purposely
that
will
they
never
have
buy
had
from
success.
I forgot to
Surprising,
buy no solicits
Somebody
on
comes to
that.
your door, you're gonna have to put the windows in, it's amazing.
Okay.
All right. Well, we definitely want the times. I like the times that were in there too. I like the way it was written.
The times will.
Yeah, the times were good. I like that part of it.
And we would apply that to everybody.
Yes. I would
Basically,
say.
just said sundown, 10 a.m. to sundown.
You can't do sundown.
It said an hour
No,
after
no,
sundown or something,
right.
it said.
We did.
It was an hour after sundown.
And it said the National Weather Service was
Right.
saying what sundown is or whatever. It was really
Bring
good.
my
It
sundial with me.
was really strict. I liked it. It was no question in my mind what you were saying.
Mhm.
I mean, I understood it.
But the problem we tried to address by doing that, and I think that was my
It was.
suggestion. The problem we tried to address is, in December, when it gets dark at, 4, quarter after 4, if you use sundown is way too early, and that's
Right.
kind of gonna, but if you have 9 o'clock, in December, that's very late. No one wants to be answering
Right.
the door. That was the problem that was expressed to us, is that it's.
No, I think, I
It's too
like
late
the way it was written. I
so
thought it was fine.
It's a specific time that can be tied to something, so it's
Mhm.
enforceable, but it's also moving in terms of seasonal,
Right, so,
Adjustment.
1 hour after sunset?
was an hour, hour and a half? Is-
Hour and a half, so summertime, somebody can knock on my door at 10:30 at night?
No, not,
No,
no,
again,
no later than 9.
Oh, no later than 9, okay.
Well, we'll try it again. I thought it was really good, and we'll just back it off a little bit,
Yep.
that's all, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Dave Cole, pay very close attention to this one, okay, please?
What, this solicitation?
No, this ordinance, because it's gonna affect you,
Why is it gonna affect me?
you'll see.
Are you soliciting, Dave?
Because it's 2016?
Yep.
Wait, the political party's coming out, isn't it?
Well, there are actually three components to this.
The
There's,
time, Dave, the
The
time.
time will apply still.
Time.
there's the,
You're fine.
what's my train? There's the timeframe, there's the licensing is the other thing. Who do you want the registration to apply to? So the do not call list will only apply to commercial entities. The time frame will apply to everyone.
Mhm,
Who do you want the registration to
Can
apply?
we make it just commercial or no?
I think just commercial.
Do you want just them to register, then how, the question becomes then how, if you have no other regulation, do people even know about the time? See, the idea of registration is so that the police know who's what, so somebody calls and says, look, there's somebody at my house. I don't know, he's asking for a donation.
Mhm.
The police will say, well, yeah, that would be so-and-so, they came here and they registered.
Mhm.
We know that they're there. That's really all the registration's meant to be. They don't.
Well, we have
it's
other
not that-
people who come here, you know, we have freeholders who come, we have different people,
Can we-
they wouldn't even.
Well, the
know.
Can we make
Registration.
everyone register
Yeah.
except for political? But then
That's,
you're
the
gonna.
problem is, they're gonna
yeah,
say, well, why are you so special?
Yeah, right.
Now, we said
Because we wrote
previously
the
they were
ordinance.
supposed to be registered.
Well, we're already registered too, we registered that we're running.
We just never enforced it.
Before, the registration was there for everyone.
Years ago,
We just
until we
never-
took it all out, it was all there. It just never got enforced because it was never,
The registration might be a good idea, we just have to think that through.
Well, and we need to let it be maybe for
A little
the,
bit.
for the election season or something, though, not every 30 days or something, it would be
well,
crazy.
the problem with that is when you use it for political, that the courts have pretty much said, you can't just say the candidate's running from two parties for an election.
Right.
That has to apply for anybody who wants to come door to door and say whatever crazy thing they want to say. They're in that same
It would have to
category.
go
Right,
for
political,
everyone. It would have to
yeah.
go for Jehovah's
Yeah.
Witnesses, it would have to go for.
Mhm.
Girl Scouts.
Could you, for the political candidates,
Mhm.
could you tie it to, you know, any declared political candidate is permitted for a period of time, you know, before an election, 45 days.
Well,
before an
maybe
election.
if you couldn't say any declared political, you'd have to say anybody, because if the political candidates want to run, so somebody who
One
wants
for
to
an
go door to
independent.
door and say, don't vote for any of them, I guess has the right to do that too, so. I
Right,
guess we could say, we could waive the requirement for a certain period of time before the campaign. Anytime though, it seems the case is, the biggest problem comes when you try to separate out who's not.
right.
If you don't apply your across board and you try to pick who,
So the best thing to do is just to zero in on commercial businesses.
Yes.
And stay away from wording that is related to political.
Mhm.
And as far as the time, if it's 1 hour after sunset, sunsets in, I guess, November 6th, probably around 6:30, somewhere around there, if that. So you still have all the way up till 7:30,
Right,
so
yeah,
you shouldn't have a problem. There's not too many people knocking on doors in the wintertime.
No.
So let us all look at it,
Yeah.
digest it. and-
think about that part of it.
Right, but for the police sake, you still have to, you know, if someone's Jehovah's Witness, they should know, because they're gonna get calls,
Right.
and they're not gonna know who they are, they're gonna have some officer out to check it out.
Right, because they don't know who
But
it
all it
is.
takes is one patrol car to ask, and then they all know. I've heard it numerous times.
Well, yeah, but it's a continuous.
Somebody calls, oh, somebody's on Mountain Avenue, they're Jehovah's Witnesses, there's people knock on the doors, the cops go
So
check
right
it
now,
out.
right now,
All
we
the
know what
Jehovah's
the desk, and they
Witnesses.
can just call, you know, tell that homeowner, yes, you know, we know who's there,
Right.
they
So-
registered,
The Jehovah's Witness has to come to the desk here and say, we're gonna be knocking on doors.
we do that.
No, they don't,
They're
no,
supposed to.
we had removed that. A couple years ago, we removed that solicitation canvassing thing, we only had the itinerant vendors. But we were kind of applying the itinerant vendor requirement to I guess anybody who asked. So yeah,
Let's leave it in and think about it. We can tackle this again.
I think if it's just if it's nothing more than saying we're gonna be here,
Mhm.
and that's the extent of the regulation, that's a pretty modest, and you don't have to say come in person and fill it out, they can.
Would you say
fax it out.
notification,
And
notification?
organizations can say, these 20 people are gonna be here.
And that might be good just for safety issues, so
Yes.
people,
You
know
leave it as
what's out there.
notifying the local,
But not
whatever,
that
authority,
many people.
police, or whatever it is.
We can
Even
take,
if
we
it's when
can
the patrol car
remove
goes
some
out,
of the
well, now we
information.
notify.
Well, that's what happens.
No, it's a little over. the
Well,
top.
you have to,
If somebody calls and they go check it out,
They
and
show
they
them
say,
ID
oh, yeah,
or
they
whatever.
have a permit, or no, they don't have a permit, we ask them to leave,
We can do it that way. Well, we can't ask them to leave without a permit, because if we have to have a
I
permit
wouldn't ask for
requirement in
permit, but I'd
place.
ask for notification, and then that covers.
Or they tell them you can't.
Yeah, notification might be good enough.
I'll abide by whatever rule you come up with, Bob. As an elected
Well, Bob.
official.
All right, okay, we good, everybody?
Yeah.
We'll read it all again, I'm sure we'll
We'll
have more
look at it.
discussion. Okay, next item, it's okay, it's worth it.
No, it's gonna be a lot of work for the police or whoever.
Well, if we
Not
write,
for us.
if we're carefully writing, it won't be.
I don't.
I think it's gonna be a lot of work if we have the do not solicit, that's gonna be a lot
That's
of
gonna
work.
be,
That's gonna be
that's
a
gonna be a
fair.
lot of work.
All right, next item on the agenda, reports and notices. Managers. Anybody have any on reports and notices? Oh, I do.
Oh, wait a minute, what did we have to do? Oh, reports and notices?
Yeah, I have a question for council, because I read the one on Mortonboro about about the Morris Area Energy Property. Are we interested in any of that?
I think, Dave, is that who you had met with?
Yes.
Right,
I did meet with them in December and asked for some additional information, which I haven't received yet. For this go-around, they're working on a pretty short time frame. So
Yes.
Yeah, they they want us to do an ordinance like right away.
yeah, I
And
reached
Wharton,
out to her again to try and get this. Essentially what I asked was, because after deregulation of energy, individual homeowners are allowed now to, choose your own energy supplier. And it has not received not a lot of people have done it.
Well, there's been some problems too. I heard
And
people with problems
there
with
have-
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to read the fine print very carefully. The rate can be, adjusted. You can end up paying more than the Jersey Central
And you
basic
can't
rate.
get out of it for so many months.
Right.
Mhm.
So what I asked for was some data on towns that had gone through this process to see if the savings that was received was at least comparable to what any individual homeowner could be able to do on their own.
Mhm.
And I haven't gotten that. This is still relatively new in terms of the municipal aggregation part of it. There's a Passaic County group also that apparently the first time they went out for, it's like a bid process. The rates did not come back so favorable, so they're actually going through the process again. So what I told the people I met with is I'd really like to have some more firm data before I make a
Right.
presentation or ask you to come in and talk to councils and pass a resolution to move through the process, and I don't have the information.
Well, it's very interesting the way energy's going. I mean, maybe this is just gonna be dead on arrival now that everything is,
Yeah.
gas is coming down and everything.
Yeah,
What
kind of
goes
like
down
gas rents
must
with
go up.
solar, I mean.
Yeah.
Tell me it's going back
Yeah,
up.
but you can't time it, Rich. You don't know what to time it. You get locked into something like this, right?
Mhm.
Then you're locked,
Well, our company buys that way.
you know? Yeah, it's different than a homeowner.
No, I know, we buy a lot more than
Yeah,
a
definitely. I guess, the thing is he wanted something by February, so I guess we're not gonna do
Yeah, you're
anything
not
by
gonna-
February.
Would you have time to reach out to them? Or-
Yeah, I'll see where they are. I thought that I was gonna get the information back in time to, for
Yeah.
distribution at this meeting.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, maybe if you touch base.
Maybe it's not good information.
Right.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah, you can just tell us Thursday if you're gonna get in touch with her. Just, I don't think you're gonna be able to, but you can give it your best shot. Okay, next item on the agenda is the manager's report.
Okay, only a couple minor things. Frank and I met with Land Conservancy regarding their proposal, and we're expecting a written response to some of the concerns that we raised. Interviews with each of the firms that submitted audit proposals have been set up for Thursday, starting at 6:30. And that's kind of it.
Okay. Councilman Cole?
I have nothing, Fair Housing will meet tomorrow, Actually, I just got a text message, Fair Housing is gonna postpone their meeting until Wednesday the 4th. It was scheduled for tomorrow night. For some reason, they're postponing it.
The big snowstorm, I guess.
I guess,
Yeah.
Really, they're postponing it till the 4th?
yeah.
Okay, all right. Councilwoman Florence Lynch?
Okay,
yeah.
the economic, just two quick things. The Economic Development Committee is meeting tomorrow night at 7:30. They're gonna be holding their first meeting of the year to do their reorg of, the officers. They'll be laying out their goals for the year, which include recommendations to council on a redevelopment plan of the business district, recommendations on a plan to fill store vacancies. In particular, we've all heard about Friendlies, and so we're really trying to steer them to come up with some long-range plans there. So that's on the agenda was distributed, and those items are on there.
Well, listen, before you go further, with the economic development, I brought this
Oh, yeah.
this rag paper.
That guy you called it? Yeah, that old one from that old guy.
Maybe if you want to bring that to your committee and get their opinion,
Yeah,
as
sure.
if they support that.
Did you talk to him?
No,
Okay.
but if
I
they
know.
support that, if they want to put an ad or do something,
Right.
just get their take on it.
Sure.
Because
And we've talked about it in the past, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
because I don't see anywhere they're in there. But if they want to be, or if they think we should, or think we
Right.
shouldn't, or
They
whatever.
were on the first one, this was the second one.
Okay.
And what else? And then there's going to be some recommendations and next steps on the tax reward program for residents and business owners. And the next Environmental Commission meeting, Kathy and I attended the last meeting. We met with Pilgrim Pipeline reps. That was the intent of Kathy going as well, to go over their plans and ask questions. It was very informative. But Pilgrim's still gathering information, conducting their field studies. They're going to go through their, we kind of put the cart before the horse here, because they're going through their DEP process for permit approvals. And even though you might have heard, the Assembly passed a non-binding resolution opposing the Pilgrim Pipeline without approvals and an environmental impact study, but this is all part of the DEP process. So, they'll be going through that. There's really nothing for us to do more at this point. We basically,
And many of the people who represent our areas have abstained from voting on that resolution anyway, because they were waiting for the DEP
Right.
process to start. They
Right.
said they didn't have enough information to even
Exactly.
vote, so they really abstained or didn't vote.
Yeah.
So if you look at the resolution that was passed, you'll see everybody that represents us really didn't partake.
Exactly, yeah, because we had done some reach outs, and
Mhm.
we noticed that they either didn't vote or abstained. And the reason was because they really had not enough information.
Right. And I actually got a call from someone in Chatham about it, the pipeline, and wanted to know if we, the council, wanted to join in on some kind of lawsuit. I didn't respond because I was waiting to just hear your opinions. I know what your opinions are, I
It's gonna
think.
be no.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but I didn't want to answer for everybody without asking. So I feel the same way. Dave, do you feel like?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not prepared. We don't
No.
even have enough information. They haven't even formally applied for their permits. Okay. Anything else, Melissa?
No, that's it.
Okay. Councilman Phelan?
I don't have anything, Mayor Winterfeld.
That's forever, right? Okay, the tickets are going fast for the casino night
I
though,
told you you can get them from Allison.
Yeah, I know.
Or there's a young lady in the back there that might.
Do you have tickets?
I do not.
Oh, there you go.
right? Okay.
Allison, pull Allison.
I will.
If
Councilman,
you want, I'll pull her. whatever.
I have 50-50 tickets, that's it.
I can get a 50-50.
Let's take some right now.
Okay.
Councilman Vanderhoff?
Because of blizzard conditions last night, Shade Tree was not able to meet. We will have a meeting shortly, and we are working on a solution to one street that has some major tree problems. And that will be coming out very shortly.
What street is that?
Rock Edge.
Oh.
Major tree problems, huh? Okay.
I did want to say the DPW did an outstanding job, as they always do.
For the
Yes, they
blizzard,
did.
yes.
For the blizzard,
They
For the
were
blizzard.
ready.
for
For the big
the storm
blizzard.
on Saturday and the blizzard of 2015.
I will-
Go ahead.
In my last email update to council, I had made a recommendation that we modify the solid waste rate
Yes.
for 2015. You know, we put a 5-year rate plan into place, which increased the rate by $20 per year based on the contract amount. And after closing out our books for last year, the amount of tonnage that we have been dumping has gone down continually. So while we've been budgeting for 5,200 tons a year, we're down to 4,000, and that number's been consistent in non-flood years for quite a while. So there's really no need to continue to budget for 5,200 tons. You know, those couple flood years kind of threw us off, and it
Right.
made the numbers so wild that it was difficult to kind of be confident in the trend, but I think we are now. And there's no reason to increase the rate this year because we just don't have those.
You know what that's attributed to? You have any idea?
The answer is no. We've
Yeah,
discussed this many times. You know, Pequannock Township is, you know, we do have one of the highest recycling rates in the county. We have for quite a while. One of the reasons, because we make it relatively easy for people to recycle. You know, we pick up every week.
They don't have to store it around. Keep it around.
We believe another reason is that, you know, packaging has changed significantly in the last 10 years. You know, you think about your average computer box from 10 years ago, which was a monster with styrofoam, and now they come in really compact.
Right.
And that's kind of been the trend. So the amount of material that is received and thrown away in any given purchase appears to be less. But it's been
Whatever the
a
reason, it's a
consistent
good
trend.
thing.
Yeah. But our billing goes out in mid-February, and even if we don't take formal action, I just want to make sure that everyone's on board, and we'll adjust, we won't adjust the billing, it'll end up being the same
That's good news.
at $100 a quarter rather than increasing it, and we'll have an ordinance to make the modification for introduction for next meeting.
Okay. Okay, my turn. Carol Marsh has accepted the position of township clerk, and there'll be a resolution. She started on February 17th. There'll be a resolution on that coming up. Also, I had a library meeting. Of course, the topic was the parking lot and the speeders and the people who shouldn't be there and all that. They do ask if the police department could swing by once in a while.
They're trying to wrap, so they're gonna try it.
Yes, I know.
It's been going on for 10 years.
They did say it's better. They're working with Rich Hazler.
A new face.
They're sending out notes to the, you know, to the parents, and it has been getting better, but they just did ask for that. They also did talk about the addition, and I did suggest that they talk to the township engineer and you. Did they come see you?
I spoke to Rose about it, it's gotta be close to a year ago, but I haven't had it.
Okay, so they haven't called you. All right, so they will be, and I told them they should, because they're ready to move full steam ahead now. They've looked at a configuration as to not expand, maybe just redo the whole inside of the library. They talked about that at length and said it's no. So now they're back to the expansion. So I said to them, you know, they have to think about things if they're going to have more people in there. They
It's
have
a
to
good
have
thing we took them
answer
off the
questions
Rossi.
about parking lot and space, because that's when parking came up and all that. So I said they better sooner than later, you know, come ask for some help, because they already have this one girl whose boyfriend is the architect, and they're thinking they got a price. I said, whoa, wait a second, you're talking about, you know, you probably have to go out to bid and all kinds of stuff. So they'll be coming to see you. And then they're also getting involved with, I don't know what the fear is, I guess with all the things that's happening in the world about putting in a panic button and different doors and all kinds of things. I said to them, they should reach out to Chief Spring about lockdown procedures for themselves too. And maybe if you can tell, you know, Brian, maybe to reach back to them too, because they're starting to get, making their own, and I think they need some professional help, and I think that he can help them with drawing up a plan.
Absolutely, and we have. I'm not sure how familiar the board is with, you know, the past history and some of the events that occurred several years back, but our police department was, you know, intimately involved in, you know, when he's not really a security guard, but they brought someone on to manage some of the kids in the afternoon and deal with those issues. And they communicated regularly with, at the time it was Captain Dooley and Detective Wetmore,
We now have a new
who helped
person.
set them up
Yeah.
with processes and procedures, so, yeah, that's not a
Well,
problem.
I asked him to reach, out, but maybe Brian can reach them
Sure.
too, because they're trying to develop some things on their own, and I think they really could use some professional help around that. And they're also been asked to work with the schools a little bit too, about being some kind of overflow and safe place and all different kinds of things. So I think that they need the same kind of instruction, with the Board of Ed. It seems like maybe we can talk about that at the Board of Ed meeting too a little bit, and how all this is gonna work. And I talked to Kim at the Board of Ed, I talked to Dave, we need to change our meeting with them on 3/12 to 7, if that's okay, instead of 6. Talking about the Pelham Pipeline, Morris County, the League of Municipalities, are we going, not going, so Jay can send in a voucher? It's, 218.
I was planning on it.
Jay, or
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Okay, put me down,
Everybody's,
I don't think Rich is.
No,
okay, so 4 out of 5?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and the Historic Commission, did you have a chance to look at their ordinance?
I did, I got a memo, I think Dave's probably going the historic preservation stuff, memo, we're gonna schedule that for the next meeting.
The next meeting, okay, all right. That's all I have. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized, to come to the microphone and provide your name and address for the record. Frank?
Frank Spizzeri, 35 West Franklin Avenue. You're right, a horse.
Yeah.
As you know, I'm chairman of the Open Space Committee, and I know you guys work very diligently on appointing people to all of the committees. And I was just wondering, it's difficult when we have our first meeting, when we don't have a rep from Planning Board, we don't have a rep from Parks and Rec, or from Historic, because nobody knows whether they've been put on or who is going to be the successor to
Right.
come into.
So it makes us the
Our
whole
world.
to get organized, right?
And is there any way that we can expedite that a little bit so that when, either when you appoint people to that committee,
it's,
so
and
that committee
whoever
needs to
whoever the chair is of that last year, maybe appoint somebody to go to, say,
right, I know.
Planning Board.
I think they did it at the January meeting, so you'll probably get the representation at
Yeah.
February, so it's a shame that you missed one whole month.
Oh.
Yeah, it's.
Maybe
it's-
they need to have
well,
a little
because-
reorg after we have a reorg.
Yeah, but when you look at it, to okay me as a chair, I don't have all my representation there.
You lose a whole month.
Yeah,
Yeah, you lose the whole
you
month.
know. So I don't know how you guys can do that, but
It's kind of hard because the committee has to meet after we appoint the people to the
Right,
committee
yeah.
to decide who's going to be the liaison to the open space. I know the planning board is still working on that.
well, okay. What about this? If planning board has a meeting prior to me or even after
I
me,
think our meeting was the same night you had your meeting.
it was actually. Was somebody appointed to be a rep?
Jay forgot to mention it.
Well, see. There you go.
Same night, how are they gonna have a representation?
Now,
I
if the,
told you to say
I
something.
did think about it next day.
and I think if you're gonna have a liaison to open space, the chair, whoever that chairperson is, should, if you pick the person, should
I'll tell you
call
what,
me.
we'll reach
or-
out to the chairperson of the planning board and see what we can come up with.
Yeah, and I think each one should do it. Parks
Yeah,
and
we'll
Rec
do
should
that.
I
do
think
it
the
also.
chairs should take on that responsibility earlier on.
Right,
Do
and
something,
let us
have a
know.
short meeting.
Yeah, but
have
the
a-
problem is we appointed the chair that night, the same night you're having your meeting.
Okay,
How are they ever gonna go to
Okay.
that meeting, Rich?
Well, that's the other
You're
problem.
not gonna get to January meeting, no.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
January's just,
Yeah.
even if you have your meeting, hear me out first.
right.
Even if you have your meeting and you appoint a chair and you appoint a representative, whoever that may be, to come to open space, your chair should either send me an email or somehow let me know who that person is. Because we don't know until the guy walks through the door and says, hey, I'm from planning board.
Right, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, somehow we have
You know
to
what I
have a
mean?
notification through the clerk's office to the chair.
The Open Space Committee is the committee that has the most
People, right.
representation
Yeah, the other
from
ones don't have
other
that.
committees.
Yeah.
That
Right,
It's kind of unusual in how the committees are set up. What if Open Space held their January meeting till later in the month,
Right.
till after all the other committees had met and been able to appoint them.
Okay,
Or
that's
meet
fine.
twice
Just
in
for
January, yeah.
Sometimes you need the first meeting, like the planning board, that new member coming in, that he gets informed that he's gonna be released.
So I guess it's gonna be Ryan Hurd, huh?
You're in.
Yeah, we,
January.
you know, I guess we could do that. I'll suggest
Because
that,
your committee, really, the open space is the one that's affected the most.
yeah, we're the troublemakers.
You're drawing from everybody. Yeah, so there's your solution.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Thank you, Dave.
We'll work on that for next year if I'm gonna be chair.
We'll remind you.
Remind us.
Yeah, how's that?
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? No? No, nothing? Okay. Do we have closed session? Next on the agenda, the items for closed session? No? Okay, no closed session this evening. All right. What was it?
I'd be happy to make motions for these minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, next on the agenda are the minutes to be approved.
I'd just like to make one,
There's two separate ones, right?
one correction to the
Oh, yes, right.
13th. I made the comment to Dave about the gazebo out front. Kathy actually pointed it out.
I was gonna say, good catch, Dave.
So I have two January 5th.
But behind there, there's the one on top, the little
Why,
one,
what did it say on here?
and then there's another one.
Yeah, the January 5th one will be very short.
Right.
That was me.
I thought maybe I did, I wasn't sure.
And specifically, that comment was incorrectly assigned to Kathy when it was.
That's okay.
So you'll repair that?
We will
I
make
can
that-
a motion?
we will make
I'll
that
a
with
motion
the
to
correction.
accept
Correct.
with-
I'll
with the
second.
corrections, January 5th and January 13th minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? All right. Okay. At this time, the public portion of the meeting is recessed for, oh, we don't have closed session?
Nope.
There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All in favor?
Well, we need a second.
I'll second.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is adjourned,